Welcome to Ann and Dorian's Our Universal Force podcast, coming to you live from Crown Heights Radio in Brooklyn, New York. All right, what did we talk about this week? What did we talk about?
In the past 3 weeks?
No, not for podcasts, just in general in our life. What have we talked about? What have been important relationship topics we've talked about just in our own working through our relationship?
Well, we're moving into a new house. And we're communicating on what we'd like to have in our house. Okay. We went out with friends on Friday. Mm-hmm. And we made sure we slept this week.
Yeah.
In Washington, we had a conversation about expressing how we take in new, adventures and obstacles.
Okay.
I was frustrated. Remember, I was frustrated because I felt like I wasn't understanding you. And I felt that there were things you needed to express that you weren't expressing.
And what was the... You weren't understanding me. What was the subject matter? What day was it?
It wasn't the subject matter. I just wanted to know how you were feeling.
Okay.
And you came back to express that in Bellingham.
Oh, in Bellingham. Okay.
In the hotel room.
Okay. I'm trying to remember the conversation, where we went with the conversation.
Where it ended up, how you responded was that you explained how you receive information, and for you it's more like a slow absorption, you're taking in everything.
Oh, yes. I remember now. When we were talking about the trip and what we expected to get out of the trip. No.
What you wanted to do, what we were doing.
What I wanted to see.
If you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, okay.
After I showed you something.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, I remember that.
It was hard for me to know how you were feeling.
Right. Okay. Okay. Got it. Okay. That's interesting.
And so last episode we talked about communication style. This is more about how we receive and interpret instances.
Okay. All right, that's interesting. I don't know if I want that today, but that's an interesting topic to talk a little bit more about in
our life,
and then see where that would fall.
That's one thing we talked about. I feel like this, as far as the week goes, we were just back on the grind at work, and we didn't necessarily share.
Yeah, I was thinking over the trip and just any conversations we had that were that could be good topics for us to expand upon.
Make sure you sit. I'm going to use the restroom.
Okay.
Make sure you sit together in Comfort Plus.
That is something. Welcome, everyone. Ladies, gentlemen, he, she, them, theys, theirs, hers, hims, to the Our Universal Force podcast with Ann and Dorian, coming to you live from Crown Heights Radio in Brooklyn, New York. Welcome, Ann.
Welcome, Dorian.
How's it going?
And thank you. Actually, you just welcomed me.
Yes.
Into Crown Heights Radio.
Boom.
In December. And thank God for that. Here we are, people.
Yes.
Wherever you are listening, we appreciate you and your presence. And we'd love to hear from you at ouruniversalforce@gmail.com.
Yes. You can go to ouruniversalforce.com, crownheightsradio.com, any of your favorite social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, where else? YouTube, all of those places. And check us out. We have podcasts, music, our events that we DJ, as well as other dance. Yes. We have dance. Yes. You want to shout out your Ladies Adios event that's coming up shortly?
Oh, that's right. Well, you can go to all of our sources that Dorian mentioned to see what it is we're up to. And coming up on September 21st, Saturday, Bushwick, be prepared. New York City, be prepared. And all of our guests who fly in from abroad, we are hosting our third annual fundraiser event called A Jam Called Tribe, Volume 3, 1979. It's a disco, hip-hop, Latin, African-infused party incorporating elements of vinyl music, original grooves, with dance, old and new, competitions, breaking, footwork, whacking, house, salsa on the side, and it's all going to be smothered in outfits. There's going to be a costume party, best dress, awards, sponsors, Scrapyard New York City, New York City's most renowned street art company, and Taino Theater, Long Island City Salsa Dance, and our gracious music makers and mixers, DJs from all around New York City, coast to coast too. So stay tuned for those updates and specifics. Eventbrite tickets, $15 donation going to Camba Broadway Women's Shelter and a anonymous mother in need. So come through, show some support, and have a great time with us. Ladies, adios. We hope to see you there. And that is that. Beyond, stay tuned with us, our Universal Force. Without further ado, this is episode number 9.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for that. Yes, shout out to Ladies Adios. Great event. They are planning lots of DJs, lots of music, lots of dancing. Good Brooklyn event.
So
people from anywhere, everywhere.
Everywhere. You're DJing that event.
Yes, I am.
What do you have planned for that?
It's 79, so records, vinyl.
Records and vinyl?
Music from 1979.
Fantastic.
Yes. Nice and simple.
Simple.
Take out all the records, look for 1979 or whichever ones they are, and take those.
Okay.
Maybe I'll do my little research and I'll go to the Billboard Top 10 from 1979.
Ooh, we posted that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go through all the genres, see what's what. Grab those records. And play some vinyl. Keep everybody happy.
Is there a record that you can think of right now, or a song, or artist, top artist from 1979?
No, but my guess is going to be Michael Jackson. Kool and the Gang were still out. I'm trying to think things that we would actually play. Who else? Maybe the Commodores were still out. I'm trying to think 79. Who had an album in 79 that I would think would be fun to play? Because there's going to be disco, Donna Summer, obviously. I don't know. I don't know if what year the movie Saturday Night Fever came out. If that was earlier than 79 or not. Because also when movies came out that had soundtracks were big too.
Yeah.
So I'd look that up and see what was happening. Yeah, so it's like I have a roundabout, but I don't know if it's 79 or 78 or 82 or 7. Yeah.
All right. It sounds like you've got some good thoughts.
Whatever it is, it's already here in this vinyl collection, so it makes it simple.
We're sitting amongst an ocean
of records. Yes,
that makes it sound like it's they're floating aloof.
Yeah, they are floating aloof.
But they're like we're on the shore.
Magic, and our records just float in the air. Created. Magic.
Clouds that turn into ocean
Right.
water. And now we're in the sea.
We're just like, Siri, please give me the Mobb Deep vinyl. And the Mobb Deep vinyl, poof, appears into my hand. And then we put it on the record player. It's wonderful. It's almost like that. It's not like that at all. But it could be in the future.
Instead, it takes lots of digging. So we're going to get into our highlights from this past week. And you won't know the difference, but we were sick for a couple weeks. It's been a couple weeks since we've recorded, and we've traveled. And so we were preparing for the trip, and one of my dear friends and her love just got married this past weekend in Bellingham, Washington. Shout out to Bellingham and all of my beautiful friends that live there. And I was so proud this past week to have taken you, Dorian, with me to introduce you to these beautiful people and show you who you actually mentioned this to me. And it hit me because I didn't reflect on who these people were to me until you stated that you were so impressed by me because my friends were incredible. And it highlights who I am because I found all these people. They found me and we created a bond and a next of kinship. And I would definitely wanted to show off my friends to you. But really, we were just doing what we've always done. It was so refreshing to be back with them. There were a couple new places we went. We went to a bar in Fairhaven, downtown Fairhaven. What was that called? Wet bar? Wet swim? Swim Club. Swim Club.
Swim Club, yes.
Great cocktails. Thank you to Swim Club and our friends who suggested that. And great service. Really great cocktail menu. I was happy to see that, having lived in Brooklyn and New York City for now 7 years and have had delicious cocktails here, where that's our primary culture, our big part of it. And at least for our nightlife. So shout out to Bellingham for making that happen. And particularly our friends who got married. Beautiful ceremony. And for us to be able to be outdoors on their private land and still have it feel so cozy and that we were so in touch with nature. It was just spectacular. It was a wondrous world. There's some other highlights that happened within that trip. What were some that stick out to you, Dorian?
It was it was beautiful. The topography of the Pacific Northwest is very different from New York, especially just the mountain ranges. There's so many mountain ranges on the West Coast. I know we have the Appalachians down in like North Carolina, and what do we have here? And
Cascades.
Not the Cascades.
Adirondacks.
No, yeah, is that the New York one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we have those Adirondacks. I always forget that. But the elevations are so much higher out there on the Pacific Northwest. So being amongst it's the Cascades, and what's the other one?
Let's see.
It's
the Olympic Mountain Range. Yes.
Okay. So that's
Hurricane Ridge.
Yes. So we have Mount Rainier, Mount Hood, Mount Baker,
Mount St. Helens. We were driving by. We saw the view.
Right.
And the whole top. You pointed out that the whole top popped off.
Yes, crazy. So it's amazing to be able to see that. So you see, there's ranges all around you, but then to see these giant mountains popping up. We have our skyscrapers and similar, but nothing like this. All green, and you have these white snow-capped mountains in August that are still showing up there. So it's beautiful, beautiful landscape, beautiful scenery, very beautiful greenery. It's a nice change of pace. So that was one of the things that stuck out in my head was the green, the mountains, the air, how fresh the food was. Everyone was into farming and organic and natural food and so forth. So the food was delicious. It was just a very beautiful time, and I didn't. I don't. I know it because I've been out there, but I forget that a lot of that mentality is there in the Pacific Northwest, where you don't think of farm. You think of the grapes and similar and hops, but I never think of farming in that temperature, because I always think of like the South, or think of, more of the Caribbean or the fruits and vegetables that we get from other places. But I forget how good the soil is, and maybe that's a result of like Mount St. Helens too.
Well, certainly the
ocean and the volcanic soil and everything. It does produce great agriculture, and it's not very. It doesn't get cold there like it does here. So yeah, it barely snows, which is something that a lot of people don't think about.
It did start snowing the first year I was in college.
Oh yeah,
and it like literally that year, and a couple of my friends who you hadn't met, who I spent a lot of, who were my first roommates when I lived in Bellingham, they were with me, and they also live in Washington, but more in mountainous areas, so they're used to the snow. But Bellingham being situated on the bay, on the ocean, where it's pretty warm and temperate, it doesn't snow much, but it had that year.
Yeah.
Coming from Colorado, I'm like, it's no problem. I've got my chains. We're good. What are these idiots doing? I've got my stick shift too. I'm like just cruising on second gear.
Was it like 2-3 inches?
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. And it was it was at night. Yeah. It got cold, but it didn't ice.
It's very hilly though. It's because of the
really
because
hilly.
of the altitudes.
It's dangerous. It's not.
It's not
really
flat like here when we get snow and everybody's like, I can't go straight on a flat road.
Right? It makes sense that these cities are built off of the industry, and certainly something that has to do with I think our topography has something to do with how we then build our cities. Totally
agree with that. Yeah, so that was great. And the people, as you mentioned, everyone was wonderful. Our friends and family were wonderful. Everyone's nice out there. It's very similar to the South, or when you go to other countries or somewhere, everywhere but here, where it's the different, like everyone's nice here in New York. Don't get me wrong. Everyone's wonderfully nice, but our nice is very different than everyone else's nice. Like our nice is like, we're being nice, but we assume that someone's trying to take advantage of us in some form of fashion, even when they're nice. When you get outside of here, there's none of that. Like, there's not a nice but. There's a nice.
I pay rent for $500 and I grow all my food.
And here's my keys to my house. And go like, you're like, what the fuck is this shit? It's that kind of nice. So it's a little bit different nice.
I've got 2 hours. Go.
Yes, exactly.
And by the end of this conversation, what is it we are each walking away with? That's totally right.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you got to experience that and see for yourself the uniqueness of the country, and also to really see how my life experience has shaped me. And you've heard me talk about these people and some of the food I ate and what I experienced back then. It was a snowboarder and mountain biker, and just my lifestyle of the outdoors. And so now to have seen that, I think, is really special for us in our relationship.
Agreed. No, it was wonderful.
And we'll talk about that later. Yeah. Or we can just go right in.
No, we still got time. Let's finish up on the highlights.
It's like me speeding through the songs.
Well, yeah, I guess what? You got a timer.
I know, huh? So much greatness happens so quick. That's the lifestyle in New York City. You could feel that almost an entire year of experiences happen in just 2 days.
Well, it depends on who you are, because that's not true for everybody.
It's true. Just like not all New Yorkers are nice.
It's true for our pace of life. But I know a decent amount of people who pretty much don't do anything. They go to work and then they come home and then they watch Netflix and TV or whatever they do when they're home, and then they go to sleep and then they wake up and they do it again. Which, to me, that's going to work and watching TV.
That's all it is?
Yeah. So, I mean, we like to do we like to experience many different new activities, foods, people, drink, music, scenery, locations, hotels, clothes, everything. Just whatever there is to life. We like to experience things we enjoy, experience new things, maybe even experience things that we don't. So
all these things, we're curious.
Yeah, curious.
We remain very curious, and we're interested in people's potential. We're also musicians and dancers. So to experience those things, you go out. You have to go out. That's one thing. So in Bellingham, we went to one club to go hear some music and hit the dance floor. That was the Royal downtown, which in college when I was there, I didn't go to probably more than once or twice. But having gone there with you, I actually really enjoyed it. We hit the dance floor. You were impressed by the sound system.
Yeah, sound system. Frozen cocktails, and sound system was good. They, for the size room that it was, had a really good venue. It was fun. I enjoyed that. I loved going somewhere as a DJ and producer and entertainer and someone who likes to frequent clubs. I love going somewhere and seeing a quality establishment in an area where probably even the patrons of the establishment don't realize how good of a venue that is. Maybe they do, but how good of a product that they put out.
Probably not, because it's mostly college kids who live there.
So they would not have experienced enough places. But having travel, I've been to some places that spend way more money and have way less of a product and have 10 times as many people, 20 times as many people walking through their doors and don't put in, didn't have just audio, just audio visual layout of the club. It was nice. It was fun. It was easy. It didn't feel crowded. It didn't feel it felt big enough. It was 3 rooms, but it worked the way the rooms worked, where you could wander around, and the music was great in the area of where the dance floor was and where you would party, which was pretty big.
It filled out too.
Yeah, it filled in, but everyone was having a good time. Everyone had their own space. Mm-hmm. You could dance. And it was still crowded, but you could dance and not be shoulder to shoulder.
Which
and
the
sound was great. It was layered enough so there was different areas to be with seating.
Not necessarily the best, but
right.
It's having an open dance floor.
Yeah. It was a great layout.
It was great.
Yeah, it was a great layout
spread out.
For a no-cover club with cheap drinks. To have put that amount of thought into their space. To really work well, it was impressive. It's I didn't expect this. I was expecting what I see everywhere. So this was kind of nice, and the sound was good. It was a good time. And then, as you mentioned, the other restaurant, the cocktail bar, we went to Swim Club. That was really nice. Great cocktail program. They have a wine bar next door to them. They owned also. So they made me a nice French press. Brought it over to the cocktail bar for me, which was very sweet. That niceness that you don't have to do to deliver the French press and the cup and everything, and to hand grind the coffee beans. She sat there for 4 minutes, turning the grinder.
Wow.
Fresh. It's thank you very much.
Fresh. They know how to do their coffee. Yeah. We also had the drive-through coffee huts. Which was fun because we were in need of coffee. Not that much actually. We don't drink an exorbitant amount of coffee, but in the Northwest,
we did that trip because I was up early.
It's so
I had 2
cloudy.
cups a day, 2 to 3 cups a day.
Yeah, you get foggy headed with light sleep, and then you're socked in by this one cloud basically during the day, and that's what happened the first 2 days. It was pretty cloudy and misty. It rained even, and my friend, the bride, had anxiety about that because it was outdoors. They set everything up to be outdoors, and what was so sweet about this property. Well, I'll finish that last statement in saying that come 4:00, the sky lifted and the sun came through, and it was gorgeous, and all of the green that we were surrounded by was just lush and dewy and dry-ish, but just like it had taken a big sip of water. It was fantastic. And where they got married, that space, my friend is a very talented massage therapist. That's how we met. And they would massage out on the patio to the house that they spent the night in before the wedding, which I thought was really cute. But she would massage there, and it overlooked this small pond and small stage. And they set an arbor up over that. And she thought, well, that's where I will get married. That's what. And who she was massaging is the mother of who she ended up marrying, who knew that they were meant to be together. They were destined to be together. And sure enough, they ended up together. And what turned out to be a ukulele and music lesson was a lifelong partnership.
Oh, that was their first date, right?
Yes.
Right. It was a music lesson. Okay, cool.
It was either ukulele or
something like that, they said. Yeah.
piano. I think it was piano because she played the piano regularly already.
Okay. So it was a ukulele lesson.
Yeah, their wedding ceremony was adorable, so personable and so pure and natural for them. It was fantastic. And for us to be able to then go visit with friends afterwards was glorious. It was a great trip.
Yeah, shout out to everybody. We met some really great people out there.
My sister.
Oh yeah,
I have to shout her out. Oh my God.
Yeah, so let's give her a quick the rest of it. So the trip was awesome. We got to go meet your sister. We got to go to Seattle.
My sister and brother-in-law.
We took the train.
In Seattle.
Yep. So that was great. Then we took the train from Seattle to
dropped the car off.
Oregon, and that was great. Taking our first train, like long distance train trip together. So that was beautiful. We got to go to Oregon.
It was amazing. Seeing the islands out beyond.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we edited podcast episode number 5 for all of you. Check that episode out.
Yep.
We talk about communication styles.
And then we got to go to Oregon. We got to hang out there. Went to a couple of bars and restaurants there. Stayed there for 2 nights.
With my aunt and uncle at the Portland City Grill. And a friend of Dorian's for Spanish coffees, which are fun. They light the rim up, pour booze over their shoulder.
Yeah, it's a good time. So that was our highlights. We're going to keep moving forward, and we're going to talk about our 2 topics now. So the first of our 2 topics is going to be joining family and friends. And then the second of our 2 topics is sharing in each other's interests. So 2 topics we're going to get into, but first, let's take a quick break and refresh some water, and we'll be right back with Anne and Dorian's Our Universal Force, episode 9, coming to you live from Crown Heights Radio in Brooklyn, New York. Okay, we are back. Anne and Dorian's Our Universal Force podcast, episode 9. And we are going to get into our topics. So, Anne, what are our 2 topics?
The first one is joining friends and family.
Okay.
As couples.
Yes.
As individuals. Joining our individual families and friends.
Right.
And the next topic is sharing in each other's interests.
Very nice. So joining families and friends as couples.
Yeah, well, I think it's as a couple, someone in a relationship.
Yes.
It's interesting because it's really 2 individuals who then bring their baggage, bring their lives with them. And a big part of the relationship is just getting that to work. And for you and I, one thing in the beginning of our relationship that we did was in introducing each other to each other's friends, we would do like a group text. So we can all be in communication. You can have your friends' contacts. You did that in the beginning. And I really enjoy that because I feel connected with your friends who are like your family here in New York City.
Okay, I like that. And what has been for you the biggest impact of being able to either share with me your friends and your family and your relationships you have with others with me, and share me with them, as well as from me doing the same for you and meeting mine and being able to share in those relationships that I have. What's been the biggest impact for you?
So the biggest impact for me, to have then
shared and have
shared
been shared
my
with,
relationship,
right, and have been shared with from me, shared mine with you. Like what have you? What's been really
yours with me? You having shared your family with me, specifically the children, your children, having them then in my life by default in the beginning was something that it was like all of a sudden I was a mom. It felt that way. That's what I felt it had to be.
Right.
Because I want to protect you and have your back on everything. And I have 3 children with you.
Right.
And to have pictured myself as a mother, something I've been doing since I was 8 years old. But to really have children had me think about my childhood and what I want to make sure these kids have and that I had. And I want to make sure that I can fulfill like your role. And I had really high expectations and unrealistic expectations for myself. And the biggest impact on me was realizing that I didn't have to be anything for them. I just had to be myself. And what was most important was that I love you. I love their father. And then me having met them and have them just be these great people, your wife, ex-wife included, and her new husband, great people. And to just share that, share the family and be a part of the family has made me realize that I can just be myself and be liked however, and I can accept myself how I am and be something for these kids.
Okay. I like it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course. I appreciate you having 3 amazing kids, and like I don't know what the impact is on them to now have me in their lives and in your life. But to see parts of your personality inside of each of them is just so special. And I feel like I know them well because of what I see in you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Now, what about for yourself with your family and friends? How has you been affected by having me, by sharing me with them or sharing them with me? Like, what's been the impact for you there?
Well, I mentioned earlier having wanted to show you off to my friends from my past from college and living 7 years in Bellingham, and that's not really it. It's that when I'm with you, I feel the sense of care and security, and that just vibrates off of me, off of us. And we take care of my friends and family, and that's something that's really special that I feel I can newly offer my friends.
Okay.
And actually with my family too, when you first came to visit my family 2 weeks after we met for Christmas, you really took care of them and were there for us and the household. And I knew then that this was going to work and you were going to be my husband. And you were part of my family.
Beautiful.
So, you, Dorian.
Yes.
What's it been like? So, how has me being joined in your friend group and then separately family group influenced you in your life or maybe daily life?
Well, the first thing I think was the communication with my friends and family improved greatly because I was willing to share what's happening in my love life and personal life with them in a way that I really never needed to do or had a reason to do because I didn't really have someone that I wanted to share with them exactly how I was feeling. Like I would share, friends would come over or have my house, and I've had relationships where people were here, or not here, but in places I've lived, and so they met, but I've never had the feeling that I wanted to share with them how I was feeling, and that was the very first thing I noticed in our relationship very early on is that my friends and family noticed a change in me, and I attribute, and that was all you, causing a change in me because me being so happy to be with you, and us being happy together in our relationship, I wanted to share with them us and share with them who we are and what we're doing and about this wonderful woman that I had met. And I think that was one of the first things that I know, and it still happens to this day with people who I haven't had a chance to really spend time with since we've been together. And it's very similar comments or thoughts to them. They're like, you're very happy, but the communication has changed. Not just to show them saying I'm happy, but the way I communicate with them has changed because I'm excited and more open to share with them about us and about my life and about my relationship. And that's what comes out, where prior to in my life, it was like DJing or work or partying or traveling or something else. It was never my relationship. That was never the conversation. And that was never something that I wanted to communicate with family and, my loved one and friends, my loved ones about. But that's completely changed. And that's probably all I talk about with them now. So communication was one of the big things, the big changes in my life. My communication has gotten a lot better with my family and friends. I've always been a good listener, but I never shared. I would not perfect listener. I'm a terrible listener sometimes. I'll tell you all the things that you should know. Fix your problems. But I'm a very good listener. I'm usually a good person for friends and family to talk to. And that this was one of the times where I was sharing and not just, listening or being there or being a good friend or family partner, somebody to hang out with and do fun stuff with. It was like, hey, let me share what's happening in my heart, in my life, and my world. And that's all because of you. So that's been, I think, one of the biggest changes. And then the wanting to have family and friends be more a part of our life. I've always loved having my friends. Friends are always part of it. And it's different with family and friends. So I'll say that friends generally, because of geography, will be more or less a part of your life on an easier basis, because generally, especially as you become an adult, a lot of your friends are people who are in the same lifestyle as you. You have college friends, and you have friends that you grew up with since you were kids, but the new friends that you start to make are ones that are somehow have a similar lifestyle as what you have, because that's where how your time is spent. So the people you spend the most time with generally have the same schedule, or somewhat of the same schedule as what you do. And where family, what the difference is there is that usually doesn't happen. Most of us don't have a family member who's in the same geography and on the same schedule. If you do, awesome, especially if they're close and you get to hang out and have parties. And I do have friends that have that, and I love that about them. Love their families for that. But so a lot of us don't have that, especially if we're transplants from somewhere else. So family is more of like communicating via phone or social media, text message, and you're communicating that way, but they're not sitting in your home on a Thursday night having drinks with us or going out to dinner every week or brunch or partying with us like what our friends do. So our family, I feel, is a little bit harder to share that with, but when we have had the chance to share that, like you said, with the kids or with our parents, or, the siblings, if you had a chance to hang out with siblings, like as you mentioned earlier, we got to meet your sister this past weekend. And then you've gotten to meet one of my cousins and more, but I've been wanting to more have work harder at having them be with us. That's more of what I think also what I've realized from our relationship is that I want to have our families here. Like friends we have here, we invite them all the time, but I want to have our families around us more or do things to put us where they're at, whether it's travel or...
Your wish is my command. Well, so that's something we talked about in the beginning of our relationship is what are the pillars of this relationship? Because there's endless opportunities. And we've talked about this on prior episodes, especially the first one where we're talking about scheduling. And there's so many possibilities for what we could do with our time and our lives. And like you said, our families are on different schedules. Their lifestyles are very different. So calling and communicating with them might be a bit different. And it might be reflected in a text that we're both included on so we can all touch base in a cute emoji way or photo way, however we do. But it means something and so special to share that together. And really, family is a big pillar of our lives together. Our universal force is based on friends, family, fun, love, and ease, and physical play. And that's a huge part of what we enjoy, travel and adventure. And that's things that aren't involved in that can quit it.
Exactly.
Get cut.
So since we went into this direction, it's a good segue into our second topic. Is there anything else you want to say on family and friends?
Just thank you for expressing yourself.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing too.
I'm truly beyond. It's not even flattery. It's like I'm just so glad that I can have an impact on you in a way that has you feel, communicate in a way that works to give you more life and invigorates your family and your relationships.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
I love you.
Microphone kiss.
Microphone kisses.
Oh, that's the kind of kisses Dorian does.
Yeah, all time.
And I'm just...
Okay, so segueing into our next topic is sharing in each other's interests. And to explain that a little bit, why this topic is something we wanted to bring out is that in your relationship, most of us will come in with very different interests, whether it's from our career or hobbies or things that we do well, or something from times in our life that we've wanted to do, whether it's art or sports or some kind of constructive interest or hobby or cars or books or travel or whatever it is you do, even if it's your job and it happens to be something that you're good at and you love, sharing that with your partner. But the flip side also is if your partner has something that they're interested, they spend time involved in, they have emotion involved in it, they have effort involved in it, you being one to involve yourself in that person's interest, show an interest in what they do, and as they want to share it with you, be willing to take it on and enjoy it and learn about it if it's something that means it's something important to them.
It really shows that when you express or evoke interest in what your partner does, even you having not maybe been good at it in the past or enjoyed it, just reaffirms that you're willing to go through it together.
Yes.
And I think it highlights then what you might take on, what you will take on as challenges together throughout your relationship. So whatever your form of involvement is, whether it's even support or maybe you give it a try, it's certainly beneficial to stay curious, remain curious and interested, and at least knowing how it is for them.
True.
So what's an interest that I had coming into this relationship that you weren't particularly interested in?
I would say the two main ones are the two ones that are most interesting to you. That not that I didn't have an interest in, but I didn't think I had any need to learn anything more about it or do anything more than I was already doing. One was with physical fitness and health. I had a gym routine. I had an eating routine. I knew how to lose weight when I needed to lose weight. I knew how to gain muscle when I needed to gain muscle. And that was about the extent. And I knew how to put time towards it when I wanted to put time towards it. I would go to the gym a few days a week, would exercise for 2 hours. Had a regimen. It worked. It was fine. The other one was with dance. Being a DJ around dance all the time, always at clubs. I have friends that are dancers. I go to parties where people dance. But that was about the extent of it. I danced when I want to dance. I want to have a good time. And then that was it. That was as much as I did with it. So those two, being as your profession in both cases and also an expert in both and lots of love and interest and you work hard in both, were two things that I learned I got to experience through you at firsthand at a high level and realize that in order to be a part of your life and to have you a part of my life, I was going to need to put a lot more time or thought into both of those areas. With health, it was learning about different ways to move your body and different ways to enjoy your body.
Sorry. Cut you off.
It's okay. And discover, okay, there's lots of more areas, there's better areas to focus my time and energy in my own health than what I am doing, as well as incorporate and continue doing some of the things that I'm already doing. But I'll need to involve it in my life multiple times throughout the day, every day. It's not just for that hour, 2 hours that I need to go to the gym after work or, that morning set of push-ups or whatever it is. There needs to be more involvement. Unfortunately, I had a little bit of a thought process on that anyway, so it was good, but the level, how wide that arena is, was very interesting.
And it's not always easy talking with you about something because you have a lot of facts, you have a lot of information, you have a lot of experience, and you have an opinion of how exercise is and how it works for you. And I also don't want to, as a professional, over-exhaust my knowledge and what I think is best for you. So I think just how it's worked for us in coordinating our interest or having you learn more about it is just in conversation. We talk about fitness and exercise, and you're around me when I'm moving my body, and it's probably not used to what you've seen when you go to the gym and see people work out. I talk to you every day about how my body feels.
Yes.
So my level of mindfulness is fucking through the roof.
Right.
And you're the person next to me hearing all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's beautiful. I think, but it's and that's one thing I want to bring out on this topic is that there is being able to, one, feel comfortable enough for you to share what you're thinking when it comes to your own body, when it comes to your clients, when it comes to your job, when it comes to learning something new, just reading something about fitness or health in any capacity, being able to share what's on your mind about it. That's a lot. That's part of this. That's one half of the share. And then the other half of the share is myself then being able to put an interest into hearing it, ask questions, be engaged in it, and accept that this is a part of your daily life, and this is what you're going to be spending a lot of time and energy on, and to make that a part of my life, at least to the level, not to do it the same way you do it or have the same thoughts on it, but to be able to be engaged with you as you're doing this, and whether that means us going to a yoga class, or that means us going on a hike or a run, or making space for, you like, I need to go to the gym right now, or I need to go for a run, or I need to go outside, I need to do this, and having and not trying to
convince otherwise.
Yeah, not trying to follow that, or like open up space for that, and think about, think about that. Do you like, oh, she might need to do this,
instead of what can happen in relationships where there's jealousy that happens. Right. Oh, you're not spending time with me. Mm-hmm. You really can't make it about yourself in a relationship most of the time. You have your needs, and it's so true. It does take those two sides in perspective. Right.
And I think dance, I'll go we'll talk dancing and DJing, because that's one I think we were close, but on very different sides of that arena, and we've both taken on each other's side of that arena in different ways now.
Yeah.
So how has the dancing for you, for an interest level as a dancer and as someone who spends a lot of your life in dance, and then now having me being not a dancer, me having experienced it, but not to the level that you got, not to the level that you do, but having that level of on the DJ side, and now you've experienced the DJ side and had me experience the dance. How has that transition been? What do you see in that arena? Because it's close, but it's not exactly there.
Well, we can fill in for each other when one of us is sick. No, 6'3" and 5'3". We look very different.
Oh, I'm 6 foot. That's 6
Oh
foot
yeah,
3.
I knew you were 6 foot, but I was thinking maybe a full foot.
You want me to be taller?
Not at all. Not unless I wear a higher heel.
Oh yeah. If you wear a 4 inches higher heel, then probably I should be 6'3".
That would be a high ass heel. Well, for me, the DJing, I'm learning from you, and I've just always been interested in DJing because there was records around my house, and music is my source of expression. So I don't remember what the instance was, but I watched you play, but then we're at home and we have turntables and plenty of records. So I just naturally became interested and played. And I just explored it. And then you started giving me advice along the way and showed me how to use the equipment. And that's kind of the extent of it. Until then, naturally, I started playing. Actually, I think it was at Bergen when I first put records on.
Probably. Oh, I asked you, I think the first time you got to play out, or you played something, I think we were in Portsmouth. No,
Portsmouth. I transitioned a song.
Yeah, I rented a bathroom.
That's right.
Or I ran to help.
Yes, it was Serato, and I transitioned, and it worked. Like, yes, I got the confidence from there. I can do this.
Just do it again.
And it happened again then when we were at Bergen with vinyl. I think with 45s. And I realized the simplicity of putting the record on. And it was really just like the mechanism of taking the record out of the sleeve, out of the album cover, and laying it on the turntable and putting the needle on, listening, ensuring the groove is on point, and then playing that so it's audible while mixing it into what is already playing, and I'm playing it, and then adjusting the volume. And it's like, it's a sweet little system, and it's fun. It's definitely game-like, but rhythmic. And I found my own enjoyment from it then. So you having shared that with me, I now really enjoy it. And certainly at times I get frustrated or need to know how something works. And you're there with me to support me in figuring that out. Or you're coaching me on how to do something better because you know how important it is for me to get a experience that has me feel fulfilled, and I want to be confident in doing this. So you're helping me gain that. So I think that was the big interest that you had in DJing that now I'm taking interest in. I suppose talking on a mic too is another one.
Another one. Talking on a microphone, recording.
That's right. Haven't yet broken through a public speaking, which would you call that an interest of yours or just one that you've been trained on?
Just one that I'm good at. I don't know if I necessarily care. It's fun at times, and then other times it's just talking on a mic. But it is fun. Like, I think you'll enjoy it. Well, you do train. You've done group classes where you've trained and talked to a group of people and instructed them or taught them, whatever you did. So it's not that much different. There are just mechanics that make it a better experience for the audience and looks better and feels better. But other than that, it's pretty much the rest of it is just what you already do and have internally already. So
just gotta bring it out.
Make it interesting and fun.
Make it art.
Make it art. So yeah, sharing interests, sharing in each other's interests, and to bring this back to not just ourselves, but for what you as our listeners can gain out of that. Your partner or people you're in relationships with may have varied interests. It could be, some of it may be work related. Some of it may be something that isn't that interesting. Let's say ours are music and health and fitness and dance and food and drink and similar. It may be something that isn't that lively, but you just sharing an interest in their effort that they put into it, acknowledging how important it is to them, giving them space to enjoy it. That's going to mean the world of difference. You may not have to be good at it as they are. You may not have to really be able to talk on it as well as they do. But if you're listening to your partner and these are what's important to them and when they're speaking, part of communication is being able to ask questions. If someone tells you something about their job or their life a couple of times, you should be able to have some questions. Or even remember a past conversation where they were having some issue or having some portion of problem solving or whatever they were doing or learning something new in it. Ask them how they're doing with that. That has nothing to do with what it is. It has to do with them. And so sharing in each other's interests also means taking a personal interest in your partner.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that's all that really, that's what it is.
Asking them what their experience is. You don't necessarily have to have that vested interest, like you say, but really to acknowledge that they do and that they go through waves of emotion. They have an experience within that.
Right. Yeah. If your partner's, painting something in the house, ask them, did they get the brushes that they liked, or ask them, did they get the colors that they were looking for? If your partner works on cars and they ordered a carburetor, how did it work when you got that part that did you order it? And, why don't you let me just hear how it sounds, show me what it is, take 4 minutes out of your time. Those are little things that show an interest in your partner. You don't need to be out there with them doing it. If they like to go to a class or do this, it's like, cool, ask them how the class was when it's done. Did you have a good time? Was it nice? Was it whatever? Just talk to your partner, share interest in them, by way of that, you'll gain a little bit of knowledge into something that they're doing, and you can be in conversation. It opens up the world to you. It gives you something new, and it also gives them. They know that you have their back, and they're going to feel so much better doing whatever it is that they do or spending time they do doing something when they know that you have their back in it and you're supportive. And I know I have that from you when I'm doing any of our work on DJing or podcasts, or even at work. Doing my job, I know that you have my back and support me to do that. And I hope that when you're doing any of the things you do, whether it's work or dance or projects, whatever, I have your back and support you, and that I'm interested in you enjoying this and experience it and loving it and doing well with it.
Hell yeah, baby. Like piggyback rides.
Exactly. You can give me a piggyback ride.
Mm-hmm.
Think you could?
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. We got to try that one day.
I'm not going to walk. You're just going to get on.
I'm just going to get on. Oh, okay. You can like fireman carry me.
Two step.
Fire
on his hip? No.
No. Okay. Interesting.
No, like a piggyback, right?
Okay, piggyback. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Try this.
You might have to
Challenges.
like lower down onto my back instead of jumping on.
I'm not going to jump on your back.
Entrance from a ladder, from a rope, from the sky.
Jump from the ceiling onto your shoulders.
Ninja style. Okay.
All right. So let's go into our pleasure chest. Woo! Anne and Dorian's pleasure chest. So we have 2 items that we've picked from our pleasure chest
that we would like to share with you that we think would benefit you in your sex life.
Mm-hmm. So first one is having sex outside of the bedroom. And what we mean by that is use your whole house. Use every room in your house. Use your garage. Use your car. Use your bathroom, your shower, your every chair,
different
seating,
furniture pieces.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
Tools.
Yeah, having sex, expanding your sex throughout your house.
Edges, angles, textures.
We're going to share some why that's a good pleasure chest item, some ideas we've had, and how we're still learning. And the second pleasure chest item we've plucked from the chest.
We did pluck it. Accepting our individual and each other's fantasies.
Ooh.
What is it that goes through that dirty mind of yours?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Is it a tornado of Barbie slippers and wash tubs?
It's an interesting combination. Gin-filled wash tubs and Barbie slippers. That's someone's fantasy.
Definitely.
That's definitely someone's fantasy. So let's start with the first one. Sex throughout the house.
Your favorite? Questions.
Yes.
Where's your favorite place to have sex outside of the bedroom in our house?
Outside of the bedroom in our house is probably in front of the mirror in the bathroom over the sink. Okay. Like over the sink, me behind you. So you leaned over I know how it works. The sink. And we have that mirror with the mirror. Yes, you see us. We see each other. Yes.
It's wonderful. You can see your reflection. Mm-hmm. You can see, I can see you touching me.
It's a good height.
I can see my body. It's a good height.
Yes, our
good
height.
Angle, good hip hinge.
Yeah.
Now you ask me a question.
Oh, okay. Same question.
Same question? Yeah,
makes it easy. What was the question again? What's your favorite place outside? What's your favorite room outside of the bedroom for us to have sex?
Definitely in the kitchen.
Okay.
And on the chair. This chair I'm sitting on.
Oh.
We're not in the kitchen, folks. So don't worry. We're not about to get ravenous.
So in the kitchen, on the chair. Okay. And
I think that's the first place we had sex, actually, too.
Did it?
No, but we've had a couple very memorable times. I mean, like I said, it's my favorite.
That's probably one of my second or third one too.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like the height. It's a bar
So
stool.
we have
It's a bar. If you do,
chairs
with bar stool
back.
size chair with a back, if that gives you a little bit
A
of
short back.
yeah.
So you can slip forward. They're a little
lean
bouncy.
forward. Yeah, they move with you, but it's a nice height. And for my height and your height,
Yes.
or at my height at 6 foot, that works well.
It cuts you off about 4 inches.
Yeah.
Just enough for me to crawl on top and have one leg still on the ground
Mm-hmm.
and another one around your hips.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's good. I like that.
And then I can jump the other one off the floor, wrap that around your hips, lock my ankles together.
Yeah. It's good.
We're good.
Yeah.
And then there's a counter to support me on my back
Oh, if you want to lean
if
against
I
the
want to
counter.
lie back.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to have spices in my hair.
No, you don't lean that far back.
I don't. Now I'm just getting, my imagination's gotten the best of me.
Fantasy's kicking in.
Fantasy's kicking in.
So yeah, if you have in your house, you have even if you have a studio apartment, you have different areas of your house. We notice this more in hotels. People who do that in hotels. Well, they have the bed, they have the couch, they have the chair, they have the bathroom. People tend to possibly, or at least we do, will use most of the hotel room
Everywhere.
Yeah,
It's so fun. It's such a exotic experience to be in another room with all these unique edges, the window. We
different
fucked at
lighting.
the standard.
Yeah.
We got a room there. Shout out to One Night. It's a hotel app if you're in New York.
In a lot of cities.
In a lot of
It's in
cities.
a lot of cities, yeah.
Recommend you check this out. We got the standard.
Download the One Night app. It's
One
good.
Night app.
Yeah.
Get that. And we brought our dildo with us and we stuck it on the window.
It's a suction cup.
Suction cup. And I fucked it.
While you're fucking blowing me.
And I was blowing you. I was sucking on your beautiful cock.
And the window was
And
all looking over.
there was the highway.
Looking over all of the standard hotel is like right on the west side.
Right on the West Side Highway. We're fucking Jersey. It was a blast.
So good.
So definitely do that too. Go out to a hotel, bring a toy or two, or buy one on your trip into the city, and have fun. Or in your home, discover some new areas that might be fun to have sex in. Just switch it up.
If you have a car and you drive, it's another way.
Sex.
Yeah. If you can have in the car, you can even leave the car in your garage if you don't even want to go out and risk getting stopped by cops.
Right. You could pull a Titanic.
Yeah. Exactly.
Steam up the windows.
Exactly. There's so many options. If you have balconies, we've had sex on our balcony, in the chairs, in the middle of the sunlight, in the morning, bright sun.
Absolutely. Neighbors, we don't see them watching us.
No, but they could be.
So we just keep proceeding on.
Yes.
We're the only ones in the world.
Right, exactly. You have showers, doors you can push up against. And so yeah, explore your house. It'll give you, especially if you're stuck in your sexual relationship. If you're in a space where it feels like it's a rut, or like you do the same time, same place, every night at 9:00 before you crawl in the bed, and try while your partner's cooking food, or while reading a book, sitting on the chair. There's plenty of time and space, because it'll change up the when, it'll change up the how and the what. It turns into a fantasy.
Absolutely. Baby, what you cooking tonight? Blood sausage. Excellent. There you go. Surprise them.
That was pretty specific.
Well, fantasy.
Is that a fantasy? Is that part of accepting fantasies?
Now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't realize my imagination was so strong.
We're moving into accepting fantasies.
Let's do it.
Let's do it, because one leads
What
to
are
the
you
other.
all thinking about? What are your fantasies? How about you send us your fantasy and then we try it?
If it's
Are you
good.
on
If
board?
it's good.
Well, it
If
has
it's
to be
good.
something that we say yes to.
Yeah, if it's good. Yeah.
So let's see if yours is good enough. We'll talk about it on our show.
Or if it's something that we don't, and if something that we don't already do. We already do it, we'll let you know. Yeah, we do that all the time.
I swear to God, we have sex and I come out of it thinking, what the fuck did we just do? I've never done this before. I feel like I haven't ever fucked before, and that was incredible.
I like it. So,
with experience.
So, I go into. I was gonna say go into that, but that's that. Okay. So, accepting fantasies. We talked. I don't know what episode it was. Where we talked about sharing fantasies as an item, a toolbox item. We might have said or something of that nature. But that was the old name. But I mean, it might have been a toolbox item.
Well, it's progressed, and we have some thoughts about it.
Right. So, what's about accepting fantasy? So, what do we mean by that?
So, just the other morning, I woke up and I was upset because we had sex, and it had happened a couple of times, and I've been told that if this is the third time this has come up to you in your mind, and it's on your mind, and then you feel some kind of way about it, you should definitely share what that is with your partner.
Right. Okay.
And so this was mine, and it was that I was upset because I was thinking about women. I was thinking about breasts and not necessarily sex with a woman, but I was thinking about sex with a woman, and I felt like guilty about that. I felt guilty about it because I'm having sex with you, and like, you don't have breasts. You have beautiful pec muscles and hips and a cock, and meanwhile, you're giving into me and my body. Meanwhile, my head is thinking of women, and here we are.
Right.
And so I felt like there's almost dichotomy of being interested in one thing and having another.
Right.
And what's key, what I find in an orgasmic experience is either way, either instance has to like be seen through its full fruition.
Right.
For an orgasm to happen.
Right.
It's got to get to a certain point.
Right.
And so the finish, I think, happened when I'm not sure exactly how the fantasy was. Like, I don't know how it was specifically. Right. Because there isn't a specific fantasy tune to it.
Right.
Or how we were having sex then during those few times that I've been thinking otherwise.
Right. So you woke up. So the morning you woke up and you're like, okay, I've thought about this 3 times.
Well, I was like,
about
this.
Right. Okay. And so we talked about it.
Yeah. And I've watched some lesbian porn before too. So some of that would come to mind. And that is something that I actually wanted to stop doing in the past. And I actually we don't watch much porn because we find ourselves a bit more interesting.
Right.
But to have those thoughts come more readily having seen it on a screen.
Right.
Having seen sex on the screen.
It's more enticing at that point because you have a visual.
Well, you have a visual, so you can be clear. But as you all know, my imagination, maybe some of you don't, but is like pretty out there. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So I want to create those experiences with you, and I'm more interested in like being in tune with you and your body.
Right.
But that fantasy, if it's chimed into my head, I can like close my eyes and be with it and see that.
Right.
But in a way, I feel disconnected with you if you're not involved in that. Or maybe you are. Maybe I see you in there. Maybe I picture you watching.
Right. So what does the accepting fantasy? So how does that part come into that? So you had the fantasy.
I had a conversation with you about it. I just said, look, I have these thoughts. And I'm not asking you if it's okay with you because I'm going to have these thoughts. But I just want you to know. And I'm a little confused by it too, because I'm here with you and want to be with you, but I have these thoughts.
Right.
And we've talked about if there was another person who I was attracted to and it happened to be a female. Well, it would need to be. If it was a male, that wouldn't happen.
Right.
So that if there was attraction or infatuation, I'd tell you, and it would happen if it happens.
Right.
Because me pursuing a woman or flirting with a woman like overtly it's awful. I'm like a 9-year-old boy. Oh my God.
No, you're so
Yeah, you're
cute.
like, go talk to her. I'm like terrified.
Aww.
You did that to me a couple times, and I'm over that shit. I'm not doing that shit anymore.
Well, I mean, I don't want. I want
you like it. Because then I told you,
No,
and you told me that you like that.
Yeah.
I think that way, that I have those fantasies or those thoughts.
Oh yeah.
So that helped me accept it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how did you receive that? How do you receive my fantasy?
I mean, that's a fantasy of mine too. So it's not. It's an easy one for me because it's like, oh, I love that.
What's your fantasy specifically?
My fantasy specifically is for you to have other women, have breasts and pussy and hair and all the wonderful things that a woman has, not just physically, but the emotional side
Pussy,
of it too.
hair.
Pussy, all the things I don't have. but just being, with a woman, I understand that. As a guy who loves women and am only attracted to women, I completely think everyone should be attracted to women. Everyone should have. My opinion is that everyone should love women because you're beautiful, you're amazing. Women are the earth. The whole planet is all because of women. So I am thoroughly.
Well, and men are the prosperous ones.
But as a man, I'm like, okay, yeah, I know. I'm a man. I got it. But I love that. So to me, I think it's beautiful. I think it's very sexual. I know it's a part of who you are already. So like I prefer that in my partner, quite honestly.
Women are envious as fuck.
Wow.
So
it comes with a whole other side too.
I think it comes with that too.
We've talked jealousy already.
But I think it is linked to that, but more so envy.
Totally, yeah, I hear that.
I want those big, luscious, D-sized breasts.
Exactly. I know part of it is that too.
And then I touch my own and think that I have them. And that happens too sometimes in our sex.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I picture that I'm the Hulk female form.
Oh yeah, She-Hulk. She-Hulk.
Is there such thing?
Yeah, She-Hulk. Yeah.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Oh, there's a great comic where She-Hulk fucks what's his name? Damn. Juggernaut.
Okay.
Juggernaut. Juggernaut? He wears a helmet, big guy. He has his magic helmet. And it makes him to this, once he gets moving, he's pretty much like unstoppable. Giant dude. And the longer you wear it, it's really a kid who puts this helmet on and then becomes this raging adult. Just beast of a dude. So he'll fight like the Hulk. He's a bad guy for the most part. But then, so the kid, like, the longer you wear the helmet, the more its powers, like, become a part of who you are. So the kid who, for the most of the comic, had the helmet for the most time, is now, like, he's really a kid, but he's like a 40-year-old adult or 35-year-old adult.
44-year-old adult?
Something of that nature. And he, at some point, him and She-Hulk hook up. And they're at like a hotel, and like the hotel room's smashed, and it's like fucking. It's like, the comic won't show all that. It shows like that and going in the room, and then it shows them in bed laying together, sheet over in the hotel room, destroyed. So
that's us.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's do that tonight.
We should do that. We were talking about that
one night.
We're looking at that one night.
She-Hulk and Juggernaut, Mr. and Mrs.
Exactly. I got you, baby. So like being She-Hulk with breasts?
I just threw that out. But yeah, let's play with that some more.
So accepting each other's fantasies.
What do you think about, well, you mentioned, okay, so for you, what is your, like, is there anything you need to accept about fantasies?
No,
with
I mean,
yourself,
because, like,
or
I'll take, for example.
how do you create fantasies?
Yeah, for fantasies, the same fantasy, the same conversation that we just had, where you said you were fantasizing about, being with a woman, even when you're with me or whatever's happening, and I was like, yeah, I'm in, totally in. It's the same way I accept. I don't know where we were at. We were at the hotel. We might have been on our trip, and we were talking about multiple cocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the same acceptance. One I'm going to be way more into, but one I'm like, this is your fantasy. Like we can make everything. Like it can be as much as it could be like, this is like as you said the other day, this is a fantasy. I'm not necessarily trying to say this is what I want to have happen or this or that. Just as much as either way can be either one. Yeah. Because in our life we do cater to each other's needs and wants and fantasies just as much as as regular life. Both were like, okay, got it. One's like way more like easier on my list to be like, woo. One's like, we can have fun with this too.
Yeah, one's more realistic than another.
Not even, maybe.
Is that what you're saying?
No, not even more realistic. Just that regardless of what the fantasy is, if it's something that we're like, ooh, also, or something like, okay, you have the same level of acceptance. Yeah. And we need to be able to know that, these are what, who we are. We all have different enjoyment and different levels and, different attractions. And, we're attracted in love with each other. But also that comes with a wide world of attraction, of a circle around us that comes within our sphere. So whatever, when you're accepting partners' fantasies, if you're one part is accepting your own fantasies and understanding that these are the things that go through your head, and these are the things that it trigger different neurons in your brain for excitement or pleasure, or maybe not, because some are tied to each other. That sometimes neurons do weird things too. Yeah.
And I feel a lot of shame actually about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. And I think that it's just a societal pressure and norm that has me feel that way.
Right.
And it's really that you're supposed to be with one person, you're dedicated to them, and that's really all that we see about relationships. And we don't learn a lot about the erotic and fantasy and what we might think to be attractive. And it is a scientific it's pleasure is very neurological.
Right. Yeah.
And if you are mindful or creative or sensitive to certain stimuluses, then you're going to feel that.
Right.
And whether or not you take action on it is another conversation. We'll talk about that next time. And I find that the way I think is I'm very analytical and I want to create a reason to the cause.
Right.
And so trying to figure out why I may be thinking this way. And, like, oh, am I a lesbian then? Am I not suited to be in a heterosexual relationship?
Right.
It's not about that.
Right.
It's just that we're all a bouquet, like we're bouquets of flowers, people. And, we go together and function together in particular ways and select the flowers in different ways. And that's just based off of what our feeling may be in the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your flavor?
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. And we're pretty.
And it's okay. And I don't know how. I think you've helped me accept that just by being vocal and having such great communication with you to know that what I'm thinking is okay.
Yes, exactly. And it is. And we're more not accepting, we're more adventurous in accepting of different flavors of life than some people are. As a couple, that's just our personalities of who we came into this relationship as. So for other people, this might be a lot harder of a conversation. And not even saying that. And we're more open, and we've talked about a lot of this, and you still feel a bit of shame in that. So imagine someone who isn't, where they're strictly monogamous, heterosexual, there's nothing else, and someone's feeling that, and they don't have the old level of communication that we have. It must be, I know a lot of our, really listeners, a lot of people have these challenging, and it could be something as simple as having a fantasy of watching porn.
Absolutely.
Or a fantasy of, anything, outside of what your normal
sex.
bedroom, sex relationship is. Could be hard to talk about. It could be the first part of our pleasure chest, just having sex somewhere else outside of the bed.
To expand and to start to open yourself up physically, and your partner might be confused, like, what is this? What's going on?
Right.
Who are you seeing? Where are you learning this from? Answer those questions and have the conversation then. And it's about development. And you have so much capability as a person. And if you are curious, or you have what might feel like a secret you're keeping from your partner, having either a conversation or a way that you can transform that to have it benefit the relationship is really important.
Right. And how did you feel? So after we had our conversation, or even now after we're talking about it again, because this is probably the only second time or third time maybe we're talking about it since then, do you feel more accepting of the whatever fantasies that you have, or whatever thoughts you have, or feelings or needs that you have, as far as specifically in this case with thinking about with other women? Do you feel more at ease after having talked about it and having shared and us communicating?
Yes, I do feel more at ease. I feel that what's going through my head is now, like, my thought is processed with you, and we're on the same page. And also, I feel more confident in myself, more secure in myself. I'm not trying to battle or duel this thought out in my head, because these fantasies might show up at certain times. And it's like, okay, there it is. That's it. And like I said, pursuing it is a whole nother conversation.
Right.
And now that I know, I've known that you like this as one of your fantasies already. And so for you to know it, I know that it's something that you enjoy too.
Right.
So we can play with it further.
Right.
Last night we did. And I was sucking your cock from one side, from the front. And I stated who it is. This is Anne right here. And then I flipped my head over to the other side. And this is Jennifer. So we played with that for a little bit.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And that's I think something that's fun, is that you can become creative and see where, when you have a fantasy, what part of it is what actually turns you on, or what part of it is exciting for you. Is it, a particular scene or thought, or one particular part of it, or is it the overall whole experience? Or, you can play around and see where does your interest lie, and what is it that really is interesting to you, or, what's fun with it, without either, like you said, having to necessarily pursue it, or you do, but there's so many different, there's such a big space around there to toy in those areas, and whatever your fantasy
is. To manifest your fantasy with your partner, or even share it with your partner. And the first thing in the conversation would just be to acknowledge them and acknowledge the sex life you have in your relationship as it is.
Right.
And that's great, just how it is.
Yeah.
Because fantasies are taking it to a whole, different level, a whole new level, a whole new way.
Right.
And there shouldn't be any bashing to what it is you have.
Right.
Already.
Right. And I think we listened to this. We might have listened to this on the car ride when we were driving down to Seattle, or when we were driving around in Bellingham. We were listening to, was it Sex with Emily podcast?
Yeah, Dr. Emily, Sex with Emily.
And that particular episode, I think, there was a question that someone had, and one of the answers she gave was just talking about sharing your fantasies. And I think this is what they said, or this is what we talked about after it, is being able to just even share that fantasy sometimes is a way with your partner, is a way of living through that fantasy too, talking about it. And some people, right. and this and I think we would probably enjoy this, and we've done this a little bit, is sharing out the vision of the fantasy. But like, well, this is what I would want to do, and this is how I get touched, and really like walk through the mental image of what that fantasy is for your partner. Your partner might get off on that.
So hot.
Just really, and being able to share, describe it and talk about it, and being able to just not have it only in your head, but be able to vocalize it and have your partner sharing that.
What are you wearing?
Yeah.
What's the fabric like?
And walk through it. That's very sexy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Try that one. Yeah. That's homework for everybody. If you're in a relationship, some sexual relationship, express to your partner some sexy instance, whatever that story may be. Think about where you might be location-wise, what you're wearing, what you smell, all your senses. Tie that in, and we would love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Please feel free to engage with us on a regular basis.
Definitely.
On Instagram, Our Universal Force. You can check out our photos and where we've been, our highlights there, and upcoming shows that are recently released. Additionally, you can check us out online, ouruniversalforce.com, crownheightsradio.com for music updates, and on Twitter and Gmail, Google World, ouruniversalforce@gmail.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. Your curiosity is so much appreciated. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. And Dorian, Our Universal Force. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. It's a pleasure, Ann.
It was indeed.
Did you have a good time?
Yes. I just remembered something else we could have talked about.
Okay, what? Let's go. We're still recording?
No, we're done.
What?
This is totally a different topic for another time. Okay. Let's cut it and we'll add it to our list.
Let's just talk. I want to get it recorded so I can hear it.
This is when we were at the rooftop bar. Okay. And those sweet girls next to us that were out celebrating their friends, their nurses, their friends.
Oh, yeah.
Birthday.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
There were two men visiting from Japan, and one of them was touching her back.
Yeah.
And sitting on the couch. And I had to step in.
Mm-hmm. Good job.
Say that wasn't okay. Yeah. I said, is this like, I asked her and you real fast, and I just dropped right into him and let him know that was not okay. I really made a fool of him, and I said to acknowledge their body language and note that they're not at all interested in his pursuit,
right?
And that it's not okay to do this here.
Right.
I don't know how it is where he's from,
right?
And I blamed his alcohol and pointed to his gross beer.
Right. Right.
And I didn't do that, actually. But I said something about what he was drinking.
Right.
I blacked out for a moment there, but I went off. And needless to say, I acknowledged he was sitting down in the seat where this birthday girl could have been sitting, and that he was a fool to not give up his seat for her. And right away, he got up and left. He took her seat. So anyway, and the girls were so gracious and thankful. They were like, you were so straight up with him. They took a picture of us with them.
Somewhere on Instagram.
They were sweethearts.
Or on somebody's birthday Instagram.
And I'm glad that they learned themselves. Most importantly, I'm just glad that socially this didn't go on, and that this instance, a lot of people were affected by it. So I hope that they take this with them and learn to speak up for themselves if they're in a situation where they don't feel comfortable, or they acknowledge and see someone else isn't comfortable.
Yeah.
So to each one, teach one.
Yeah, exactly. I hear you. I am there with you. Second time we've had to do that. Yeah.
Do you
All right.
want to